In the first episode of this series, I had Ruben from the Furtado Group stop by. He's a realtor and he's done tons of flips and he's been successful at them, which is rare. He is also an investor and he's done his own builds, and he also helps out clients taking on their own projects. Now, this is definitely, I've called this Project Simpson. If you've been following along on Instagram, you're well aware of that. And the series is going to be called Invest, Remodel, Repeat. Now, this is the biggest project that I've done to date, and it doesn't matter how much experience or how little experience you have. I always recommend that you bring in someone else who has been there and done that. And Ruben definitely has, and his insights helped us tremendously. We saved thousands by having him do a walkthrough. And whether, now he caters more towards modern architecture. Now, whether you're doing a modern build or a traditional build, there's still going to be lots of principles that you can apply to your project. And there is a lot of talking. I'll warn you ahead of time. Usually I like to have how-to videos that are more have construction and talking. There's a lot of talking in this one. I had to condense about over an hour of footage into 12 minutes, but there's lots of golden nuggets, and I hope you guys enjoy. And don't forget to hit that thumbs up button because that helps the algorithm. Subscribe and enjoy. Thanks a lot for coming by.
This is the beast, huh?
This is the beast, Project
Very
Simpson.
Nice. Very nice.
Come on in, I'll show you.
Couple questions. I noticed that, looked on the plans, right?
Yeah.
And your sink location
Yes.
is right here, leveraging the window, right?
Yes.
So, and then your fridge, if I'm not mistaken.
Actually, you know what? I already changed that with my kitchen guy.
Okay.
Sink is going in the island.
Perfect. Okay, and the only reason why I was going to bring that up
Yeah.
is it's very common to see your sink near a window.
Yes.
But it depends what you're looking at. If I'm looking at my neighbor's house just on the side,
Which
it's
we are.
Exactly. So 100% great chain. The other thing I would also suggest is that this window gets frosted.
Okay.
You wouldn't put any window coverings or anything, just frosted, because like I said, it's great for natural light.
But there's
There's
nothing.
really nothing to look at there.
Okay.
Right? And there, even when we come across some other windows, we do the same thing. We just frost them. So when you're ordering your windows, I would actually order that one already frosted, right?
Okay.
Okay. Now, the island's 12 feet. So the nice thing is sometimes I see people, they'll go like 13 feet or something 14.
Okay.
And then you won't get a slab without putting a seam in it. So you're lucky you could still get a 12-foot slab without a seam.
In one
right?
shot, and then have the waterfall on either
Yeah, you
side.
could do the waterfall edges on either side of it, right?
Okay.
The other thing that I see that's pretty common now, because again, the waterfall edge, like I still see people do it. It's a little bit more traditional, and I almost think it's getting a little dated, right?
Okay.
So the other thing that you may want to consider is on the island is literally having more, and it just makes it more airy because it's not such a big piece of fixture right on the side.
Yeah.
Is on this side because you're near the window, right? Because literally your cabinets come up to, literally your cabinets stop here. Right?
Yeah.
So I want you to think of now on this side is breakfast bar because it basically steps out. So I might have my seating around that area because that's my informal dining room.
Yes.
So instead of having seats all the way across, I literally have a double base cabinet here on the bottom, doors on this side, doors on this side. But this is the most interesting and elegant focal point because now I have a corner here where I actually have my bar stools.
Okay.
Right? And what I'll do is I'll send you an image of it and you'll see what I'm talking about.
Okay.
It looks completely different. So house on Rochester,
Yeah.
right? That was that angle because that's an angle that you're walking into. You're seeing. And now the other thing too, obviously all the windows here are going right down to the ground, right?
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah, and I think that is going to have a huge impact in the overall feel of the house in terms of height.
Yes.
Generally, when I see a house that has 8-foot ceilings, immediately when you bring the windows to the ground, somebody walks in, they don't even recognize they're in a house that has 8-foot ceilings. So that'll be huge. Right?
While we're on the topic of windows, what would you recommend? Now, there's various types we can go with. We can go with vinyl, you can go with wood, aluminum clad, or aluminum, which you usually see in the higher end. But like I always say, I like to look at things as an investment first, right? So if I'm going to be spending $50,000, $60,000 on aluminum windows, am I going to get a good return?
You know what? I think a lot of times when people go into an aluminum window, it's a necessity because it's structural. It might be a very tall window that has some sort of framing in it, like a curtain wall. For a house like this, based on resale value and what it might be capped at, and I honestly think that based on the design, it'll definitely set a new precedent. but you would be okay to go with either a fiberglass or a vinyl window.
Okay.
But it's obviously going to be the color of the window that is going to give you that feel, right? That it's not like everybody else.
Now,
right?
the reason why I'm smiling is because when we're talking about color,
Yeah.
my wife isn't here right now,
Yeah, I know.
but we've had this debate, white on the interior or black. Because it's going to be bright and white, that's the look we're going for, and we're going to add pops of color with art. I really like the look of a black window on the interior.
Yeah.
What do you say?
So I would say this is where you got to trump your wife's decision.
Okay.
Because if she walked into a house right now that
Yeah.
had like basically black anodized aluminum windows and saw it, she'd probably fall in love with it. It's the concept of not being used to it. But if you actually go through images, whether you go through houses or anything, look at it, what it looks like finished. Not just a window, but with furniture. Think of the island and the bar stools and everything else come together. So you're not just looking, it really does complement it. It gives it that contrast. So
Okay.
100%, because the problem is, especially if you go vinyl, when you go white on the inside, it looks cheap.
It does.
It looks like vinyl. But when you go black, it tricks you. You think you're not looking at a standard window. It looks
Okay.
like an upgraded window. So definitely black on the inside.
You heard that, Melissa. Black on the inside.
Right?
So this is the back half of the house. So we're planning on having the mudroom right here, powder room. Tucked in around the corner is going to be a 62-inch linear fireplace.
Okay.
And then over here is going to be the seating area. So this will be the TV family room.
Got it. And across the back area, again, windows floor to ceiling.
Exactly. And then
Got
tucked in this corner is going to be a mini bar.
Nice. And in around this area here is where you're saying you're actually going to put a two-piece powder room, right?
Yeah.
I see this all too often is like in a powder room, is there where when you walk in and you're either walking to the side of a toilet or you're walking to the side of a sink or somebody does the traditional toilet sink,
Yes.
right? To me, the powder room is where you really can impress your guests and also create a really nice, without spending a lot of money,
Yeah.
really make it impressive. So this powder room, so if I come over here,
So in the original plan, the door was here,
Yeah.
swung open
got it?
into a toilet,
Yeah,
and then the vanity was right there on that wall.
got it. So now what I would consider doing, instead of, because I know in the, that was, the toilet was right here, right?
Yeah, the
so
toilet was
the
there.
door would open and you'd be seeing the side of a toilet.
Yeah.
Right.
The front of the toilet.
No, was it the front?
I think so.
Okay, so either front or side, right? What's the last thing you want to see?
Yes.
So now imagine if, for argument's sake, like, well, let's just say we open the door,
Yeah.
and what I would do across here is all the way across is going to be a counter
Okay.
with my sink directly centered to my door. So now aesthetically, I'm going to create a really nice counter,
Yeah.
right? With my mirror and my light. So when you open the door, that's what you're looking, not at a toilet.
Okay.
And then my toilet, I'm going to use on that back wall, I'm going to do a wall-mounted toilet because, again, it's still a bit of a smaller powder room.
Yeah.
And aesthetically, I'm not now looking at the tank and everything. I'm looking at a really nice aesthetic toilet mounted into the wall.
Okay.
So I have a really nice long counter and a toilet. Now, again, you're going to have to play with it based on the size.
Yes.
The other thing that you may want to consider is that this is a pocket that opens that way,
Okay.
right? So that, you know what, a lot of times you may just leave that door open, right?
Yeah.
And so again, you don't have another door swinging in here, making the space a little bit more crowded. I think you're missing some handrails.
Yeah, just a few.
So you were saying in this area you have 3 bedrooms,
Yes.
right? And then you're going to do a brand new washroom, really nice washroom, I'm sure, like all modern and everything.
Yep.
But this becomes a common washroom that's accessible by these 3 bedrooms, correct?
Correct.
So plus then you are building this massive master ensuite above that, above the kitchen there. That's going to have obviously walk-in closets, and so that's great. This space here, though, I would tell you, I would do a couple other considerations that I think would be something that would have huge impact in terms of resale. Is that if you think of your buyer, right, who's buying this house, I know everybody wants to keep as many bedrooms as possible. So they're like, hey, for resale markets, if I have 4 bedrooms, I'll get more money than if I have 3 bedrooms.
Yes.
And that does make sense. But if you really know who your buyer is, and a buyer buying this house, if they need the 4 bedrooms, they probably have 3 kids. If they have 3 kids, how old are the kids, right? So that mentality was back in the day, basements were terrible.
Yes.
Nobody wanted to be in the basement. It was like you were taking your kids and putting them in the dungeon. But right now, when you do a basement, you can make your basement look as nice, if not even nicer, than a second floor. So I want you to imagine the person buying this house has 3 kids. One of those kids is likely going to be over 12 years old, or probably a teenager. If you're a teenager, do you want to be here sharing this bedroom, a smaller bedroom, with 2 of your siblings that all have to share the same washroom? Probably not.
No.
So instead, imagine here if we had 2 bedrooms with a Jack and Jill, so a nice washroom. So each bedroom has privacy into the washroom, right?
Okay.
You don't have to come into a hall.
Okay.
And then we had a loft. So now that loft could be used in an area for the kids for their study, to do their homework. And now that teenager would actually have a bedroom in the very lower level. We'll create a nice window there, and we're going to create another semi-private ensuite or a private ensuite. Now this house appeals to a buyer, and they'll pay a huge premium because they're taking care of every family member.
Exactly.
Right? So I think that would have been a better use of the space.
Okay.
But nothing wrong with what you're doing. It's
Yeah.
just another option. Right?
I'm gonna have to talk to the wife about that one now,
Yeah.
because the only thing that I'm thinking that doesn't fit into that is the guest suite
Yeah.
or the guest room.
Yeah. So now imagine your guest room when your guests come over, and I'm going to tell you the bedroom downstairs
Yes.
is it's like awesome, right?
Okay.
So if your guests come over and they have their own private washroom, they'll be more happy to come spend time with you than if they're sharing this washroom with your kids.
Exactly.
So
So it's
I
gonna
think-
feel like their own space.
Exactly. It feels like a guest suite rather than a guest bedroom.
Okay. Actually, let's head down there.
Okay, let's do that. I mean, if you look, that's why I love back splits, not side splits, but it continues to reveal itself. You're like, oh my God, there's more.
Yes.
And here, the fact that you have these lookout windows doesn't make it feel like you're in the basement. So all the more reason what we're talking about upstairs, if you were to just keep the 3 bedrooms upstairs, so basically, when I say 3, including your master, so
Yes.
that area where you have your 3 bedrooms, you'd reduce it to 2, plus your master, there's your 3.
Okay.
And then down here would be a great guest suite or a teen retreat suite, type, like if there was a teenager. I would leverage definitely where the I-beams are to basically create the partitions of the rooms. And then within this space, literally, even if I took up this entire side to basically do bedroom and an ensuite and a walk-in closet,
Okay.
because you have so much space here. And I noticed you have another level that goes down even further.
I do. Let's talk about that now. Okay. So the plan here, as you can see, the ceiling heights are not too high. We have about 6 feet.
It's okay if you're 5 feet.
Yeah, exactly. If you're a hobbit, it's plenty of room. But what we're planning on doing here is underpinning.
Are you? Okay.
Do you think it's worth the money?
You have way more than enough space. And the fact that, like, if I look at all the marks, the only thing, like I said, I could see you using this area for is if you were adding like a gym or something different, right?
You just hit the nail on the head.
Okay. But personally, the cost of underpinning to me doesn't make sense. I think you could still leverage that area. So remember how we talked about that guest suite?
Okay.
Right now, as your kids are still young, because that has direct access to a washroom, that becomes a really cool gym with remember the steam shower?
Yes.
Just finish working out, go directly there. So that might be used for that while you're using, like if you really wanted a gym. But I think what's equally important is storage. And if you finish off this space, you really have no other storage. This is great storage. Think of anybody who's moving, the amount of stuff they have, suitcases, whether it be Halloween, Christmas, all that stuff. So this, I would definitely not underpin it.
I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Now make sure you head over to Ruben's page and check out his content. And once again, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. That way you can be notified when I put out new content.